So what exactly did Apple try to do, and how did News Corp respond?
So you know I'm really good at math, right?
Yes.
So $12.99 and $14.99 are more
than $9.99.
Than $9.99 and a couple of other numbers as well.
Significantly more. I mean.
Significantly more, because that was going to go in Apple's pocket. Apple went to the publishers and said, "We got a mutual problem." And I'm paraphrasing, and maybe that's unfair, but we'll read from some of the quotes directly. But the idea was that they had this problem, that they wanted to raise prices in this e-book business. And so this complaint is an amazing read, because it talks very directly about what Steve Jobs and Eddie Q said to the publishers in different meetings and different emails. I mean, poor Eddie Q, both his Golden State Warriors lost last night.
Remind us who Eddie Q is.
Eddie Q, senior executive at Apple, who was put in charge of creating an e-book business for Apple to be part of their iPad business. And he had many meetings with the publishers and many emails with the publishers saying, if you do business with us, you can set the prices if you do it in a universal way. We won't make you move first, these emails said. They talked to many of the publishers, and the government is alleging that they were working with them all together in concert in a conspiracy to raise prices.
Do we know how News Corp responded?
Well, there were responses from News Corp that suggested that they were briefing Rupert Murdoch all the way to the top of the company. James Murdoch was more involved, apparently, when he was running that business at Random House, or Simon & Schuster, I should say. But it's an interesting business, because they went to all the major book publishers, and there's some evidence within this lawsuit that shows the prices going up after these communications.
So why would Apple take such extraordinary steps, have Steve Jobs himself doing what it looks like he's doing?
Very involved in this effort, and what we saw here in this pricing is that it was all about Amazon. Amazon's dominance in this business and lowering prices was vexing to the publishers, and there's talk in this complaint of all the major publishers having secret meetings in private rooms at restaurants so they could talk about these issues that have been brought on them by Amazon and this low-cost $9.99 e-book model, and their efforts to what was discussed there wasn't clear, but there were some notes taken, and that's part of this complaint as well.
Is there any evidence that Steve Jobs personally wanted to do this as opposed to the company?
Indeed. He said to Walter Isaacson in his book, he had some direct quotes about what he said to the publishers, and what he said very specifically: we'll go to the agency model, which is to say the book publisher would have an agency and set the price, where you set the price and we get our 30%. And then he went on to say, and yes, the customer pays a little more, but that's what you want anyway. So Apple, we think of Apple maybe for the phone, but the thing that really turned on Apple's business was the iPod and the success that they had with music. I think that looms large, even in the Google discussion you were having earlier today, that Apple found this new publishing model for the music industry, and they wanted to bring that to the book industry.
So is there any evidence that's been presented so far that found that this worked to any extent?
There's one chart in particular in this complaint, and I put a link to the complaint on my Twitter account @CoryTV, and it shows the price jump right after some of these meetings. So it's an intriguing suit to read. Now, it's only one side. It's the Department of Justice side. It's the strongest case they could possibly make. Apple's response to this will be just as interesting, and I'm sure will be hopefully just as compelling, so we can have an interesting discussion on this. But it's quite a read, this thing.